First, it drives you mad, then it kills. The evil of the future has arrived.
Video Psychosis.
Hello, and welcome to the Video Psychosis podcast. This is episode 5. I'm your host, Strong Knotz, and today we have a very special guest, a good friend of mine, longtime collaborator, Sweet Leaf Segundo. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hello, yes, I am Yoin, Sweet Leaf Segundo, and I am a expressionist extraordinaire.
Correct. That is 100% true. And we have been friends here in Olympia for a few years here. Like I said, worked together on a lot of music. Today we're going to be talking about some of our influences, some of the stuff that has helped us create some of the music we've made, also shaped the kind of things we're into, the sort of movies we like now.
Make us sleep at night.
The movies we tuck in and take a little nappy too. This is going to be a good show. Pretty excited about this. We've got the screening coming up in Olympia. Don't forget about that. Phaerolofia, Son of the White Mare.
Yeah.
That one's going to be pretty cool. We're playing that at the Meeting House in July. It's a free screening. If you bring a canned food donation, you will get like a free snack. So that's always exciting.
Good cause for a good movie.
That's right. And there is no alcohol at the event, but feel free to take mushrooms and come beforehand if you want.
Yeah, just don't tell Ian McKay.
That's right. They beat up my brother! We're going to start off the show here today talking about some of Sweet Leaf's influences. So tell us, what are some movies that you liked growing up, or what made an impact on you when you were younger?
Well, definitely here's to Pulp Fiction. The second it came out on VHS, I remember my dad rented it. He was hyped on it because he was sold on the movie. Like, it's an action movie, it's a drama movie, and it's a mafia type of stuff, but also good music. And I guess that's what also played an influence. Also, they shot it in my hometown, Los Angeles. I always used to drive by the diner.
The one that's getting robbed in the beginning?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. That place is still around.
No, it's closed down. But I think it's either abandoned, used for something now, but I used to always drive by it, and I always loved that Pulp Fiction. The Wedding Singer. That was the first movie I saw in the theater.
We just talked about that on the last podcast, some of the first movies we remember seeing in the theater. Yeah. So The Wedding Singer for you.
Yeah. I forgot how many people actually have seen it. I always feel like I'm the only one. It makes me feel special. Digimon the movie. Animation.
The Digimon movie.
The first Digimon movie, yeah. I remember being really hyped on it because I used to wake up early just to see the show.
They made a Pokemon movie. I didn't know they made a Digimon movie.
They made a Digimon movie, but it's pretty bad. It didn't hold up with time.
No.
No.
When was the last time you visited the Digimon movie again?
Oh, probably it'll be 6 months ago.
Was there any redeeming aspects of?
Only if you're a fan.
Okay.
If you're watching it as a movie, you're like, this is trash. It's garbage.
Okay.
But it's just a bunch of fan service, probably. I remember also A Nightmare on Elm Street / New Nightmare. I remember they played them on UPN.
Once again, we just talked about UPN on the last episode.
UPN
bringing people together.
Right?
Crazy.
I remember. Damn, fuck, that's so cool. Friday the 13th. New Blood with the Carrie ripoff.
Oh, is that the one with the telekinetic girl on the boat? Her dad died on the boat or whatever.
I love that one.
That is a good one.
Yeah, I saw that the first time I saw it was in Spanish, in Telemundo. And I was like, fuck, I didn't know they could do this. Show English-made movies or American-made movies in Spanish or something. Mm-hmm. And, it just threw me away, the editing and the fact that they can show a horror movie, up to this extreme. Because they show, the kids, kind of screwing and then being killed.
Was a lot of the gore, cut down because it was
definitely cut down. But for me being, a young little kid, I didn't think that was even possible, because the most violent thing I saw on television was probably America's Most Wanted at the time. And so for me to see turn to that and then later on 2 hours later go to Spanish Jason,
Yeah. And that is interesting, because I was just reading this Sidney Lumet book, Making Movies, and he was talking about how the older process they used to do, you would finish all the sound except the dialogue, you would have all the sound effects and the music on the print, and then you could sell it, I think, to other countries so that they could dub the dialogue in the native language. footage and loop it and stuff like that. Because, the
Sick.
sometimes the actor comes back in and redoes their lines.
have
That's
to.
called looping. So, like, I think they would basically just send them a print with the music and sound effects and stuff.
Is that what they've done, do you think, with, like, Black Sunday or, like, Suspiria? Because it's very, like, sometimes dubbed, but not really.
I've always wondered about that. I honestly don't know a whole lot about what goes into, like, dubbing films. I would like to learn more, because I always wonder that about, like, specifically, like, kung fu movies. Because if you go
Yeah.
back and watch a lot of those, like, older kung fu films, it seems like the same, like, 6 or 7 people doing a lot of different voices.
It'd be strange if it was, like, the same company that released them.
Yeah. A table full of guys just like, I'll talk like this. Now I'll talk like this.
You come and challenge me. Other movies, The Pianist. I remember seeing that. And
Is that Adrian Brody?
yeah, good old Brody.
I actually admittedly have not seen that movie.
It's not bad. Like, for some people, I was like, oh, this is my dramatic piece of, the Holocaust and how it affected people, but it used music. For me, any film that has used music in a powerful way, that was the influence right there. I always loved that. And also, the original Nosferatu, A Symphony of Horror. How there's no real music behind it. It's always other people's, how they want to score it. I always thought that was interesting.
Nosferatu is a good one. I know you've painted him before.
Oh, yeah.
And
I love him.
I think I just watched that full film uncut for the first time a couple years ago, right after Halloween. The set design is great, like that scene with the, I think, graveyard and all the crosses coming up out of the sand and stuff. Or
Here's a typical answer as well. A Kubrick film, Shining.
yeah, oh yeah.
I saw Shining at a family friend's house when I was like very, very, very young. I remember a lot of the kids, it was like a kid's birthday party, and for some reason, like one of the adults who just had Shining in the background and just watching it, and I sat down and watched it. It was just freaky. It was like, someone told me like, this is a scary movie. I'm like, all right, I'm waiting for like the scary parts to pop up, like jump scares and shit, and I didn't get that. Like, no, this is the one you just sit down, kind of, it's a slow burn kind of.
Yeah.
You have to delve yourself into it. So I've always loved that. That was my introduction to like psychological horror kind of stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. It's funny you bring that up. I just watched that again. I've seen it, loads of times, but I just watched it again the other day, and it's like one of those movies that I think you like, if you're in the mood for it, you just kind of, you sit down and the length of it just kind of sucks you in.
Yeah.
When I saw that movie in the theater,
Shit,
it
nice.
felt like it went on forever, to tell you the truth.
Yeah.
But every time I watch that movie at home, I'm just like totally absorbed in it. But
It's a good one just to have the home. Like, I love a home that has a good Shining tape or a copy of Shining. Here's a movie that's been, we were talking earlier about the IFC. IFC played a really good influence on me. They just showed a lot of amazing stuff back in the day before it was a very show heavy.
before commercials.
Yeah, before commercial, it was just
Yeah.
movies. The commercial was basically announcing the movies and what they're going to show later on. But the Dreamers, I remember they showed the Dreamers.
Oh yeah, Bernardo Bertolucci.
Yes. Oh my God, that was my introduction to like French type cinema. Like, fuck, I didn't know that they can make movies about like sex and the hype of that was rated NC-17. I was like, there was not an NC-17 movie at that time around my age.
Or at least that you were like familiar with. Yeah.
Well, this one was like made it to the newspaper and everything, and,
Yeah.
and I was like, oh shit, like I really want to see this movie. So when it came out on IFC, it really blew my mind. Another movie about like good music, but only that, but like people that are influenced by films and cinema and how they incorporate that into their lives and shit. Basically playing games with each other.
Eva Green's in that, right?
Yes.
That was like
Michael
one.
Pitt.
That was probably one. Oh yeah, Michael Pitt too. Yeah, that's probably like one of the first movies of theirs, because
Babyface Michael Pitt.
they definitely rose to prominence like well after that. I think both of them are pretty established now.
Yeah, that's like far in their early careers. This is a typical Halloween movie. I was introduced to that. A lot of these horror movies I've seen that they just broadcast like in typical television, but like edit it. I can see how people are like, who don't have access to tapes or rental places at the time, can just go on TV and
See what's on.
yeah, see what's on. It's
Yeah.
cool. Lynch, Lost Highway was my first time as a kid seeing like art film type of shit. One that I'm like, oh, does it have to make sense? Like, can we just take it as is? As a kid, I was thinking like, yeah, I remember I was like 16, 15, and I was like, it was the music that got me in, because Manson's in the
Oh yeah,
soundtrack.
Lou Reed.
Yeah, Lou Reed.
This Magic Moment cover.
And
David
then,
Bowie.
yeah, dude, Nin.
Nin?
Good old Trent.
Good old Trent from Twin Peaks to return.
Oh, that was a good scene. I was so high, I wasn't expecting that. And then introducing the 9 Inch Nails.
Get the fuck out.
What's Up Rockers? That was a very influential movie because they filmed it around my high school, but they also use Our Friends of Friends was in that movie.
Like as extras.
as the actors, as the guys are in the movie.
Oh wow, interesting.
Yeah, that was really sick. And then another one that was good music in it. 'Cause, like it was like punk music like of that time. I just remember banging my head. But what got me in is it like that was the first movie I saw that was like majority people of color. My age group, my ethnicity, and everything. And with good music, like how I can't do it in my hometown.
Yeah.
You know? I love that movie to heart. Another one was like You, Me, and Everyone We Know.
Miranda July.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's an interesting one.
An IFC film. Oh my god.
Oh yeah, IFC again.
Yeah, fuck. That movie was just funny, weird, serious.
John Hawkes, he's great.
Yeah, John
He like
Hawkes.
sets his hands on fire.
Dude's amazing. Oh, one of the greatest actors of our times, man. He played a cow.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, Freaked, yeah. That's right. He definitely, some of his finest work.
Who's this director? Takashi Miike?
Oh, Mike, yeah.
Audition and Imprint. His Master of Horrors.
Oh, the Master of Horrors episode,
Imprint.
yeah.
Yeah, fucking A. That was those two. I saw them back to back because I forgot who. Someone had told me like, "Oh, you're into like American horror, well, this is like Japanese horror stuff." And I was like, "I don't know what that is." My
That was like some of your first Japanese horror that you saw?
Yeah, because
interesting.
what I was my thought of Japanese horror was the remake of The Ring,
like Ringu, and
Yeah, cause someone
like
told me,
Ju-on, The Grudge.
yeah,
and,
someone told me that's the remake of a Japanese film. So I'm like, oh, so this is how it's gonna be. But then someone told me like, no, watch Audition and watch Master of Horrors Imprint, and fuck, that dude's on a different level of stuff, and he does like kid stuff too.
Oh yeah, he's done all kinds of movies.
Yeah, he's like a genre bending fucking dude. That dude's a fucking wonderful.
Audition is an interesting, like that movie was hyped up pretty hot before. Deeper. That movie was like hyped up before I even got to see it, to the point where like I remember there was an old TV special. Like you talked about how you saw. Did you say you saw Lost Highway on TV?
No, that I rented from the library.
Oh, okay. Because I remember there was some like channel that was starting up, and they did like I think they went on the Bravo channel and played their channel for a day or two, like as promo for it. Like,
Yeah.
hey, check out our channel, and they
pretty
played
sick.
Lost Highway.
What?
And I was like, oh, this is cool.
Whoa. Never think that's like TV suitable.
Well, I'm sure it was cut down because it was
blurred.
like Bravo. Audition was hyped up before I got to see it because I remember on the Bravo channel they had like a TV special. I don't know if you ever caught it. It was like the 100 scariest movie moments.
Yeah.
They had like Jennifer Tilly and other people talking about movies.
I used to love to. Yeah, I always
They-
thought that was
yeah.
like, yeah, fuck.
They talked about Audition on there.
Yeah.
And I remember, like, I had this friend who made Flash animations, and I think his name was Will Hartman. He, like, sent me a DVD of Audition in the mail. Was like, you haven't seen this? You have to
Sick,
watch
dude.
this. Here, have this DVD. And I was
Damn.
like, and I'm finally seeing it. Yeah, it's an intense movie.
It is funny you mentioned that the Bravo like countdown list, because that was my introduction to want to see Old Boy. Fuck, they're like, yeah, this is a sick scene. I'm like, what movie is that from? See, TV bringing people together and shit. Like, who would have thought?
Well, this was back in the day. They don't do any of this anymore.
They don't do none of that.
Sci-fi doesn't play anime anymore.
Another movie, Y Tu Mamá También. You see, The Dreamers and Y Tu Mamá También is like my first real like sexual realization films. That you can put sex on film and not it be porno or anything. Obviously, we talked about how like there's certain porno that's like we could just watch it as a movie. It's just there's some good acting in it, some good dialogue. There's a story-driven like porno. Like
Yeah.
that makes it a movie, is it not? Like
Yeah. No, I mean, you know, if it's got a story, it's as close as it gets. I mean, even movies that don't have a story are movies, right?
exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, Y Tu Mamá También was the first one I realized like, oh. Either I forgot if that's a sexual realization movie or it's a road trip movie. I forgot what kind of movie it is. I remember just taking it as is and seeing another non-white cast just being on screen.
Yeah, and that was, I'm sure he probably, I think he made a couple movies before that, but I think that was like maybe Alfonso Cuarón's first like big movie, probably, right? Because it was like a big hit when it came out.
Yeah, it was very much hyped.
I think Gail, was it Gail Garcia from Amores Perros?
Mm-hmm. And Diego Luna.
Do you like any of his other films?
To be honest with you, I don't think I've seen any of this. The other
Children of Men?
Yeah, he did that?
Yeah, he directed that one.
We talked about this. American Woman from London. Another influence. Good practical effects. Small soldiers. The fact that toys can come alive and not be an animation film, you know?
Yeah.
That was something that was big.
I liked that movie a lot when I was a kid.
Just this David Cross, dude. That dude's G.
That's right. We shouldn't be doing this with these toys.
Toys got souls.
Dude, did you have any of the action figures?
Oh, I had the
did, for
Burger
sure.
King. I had Archer. I had like 2 different Archers. I had a bunch of the Burger King toys. I had
the Army guys, dude. I had Chip Hazard.
Yeah,
man.
I had Chip Hazard. I had the Mohawk one for some reason. And I'm like, this is morbid. Like,
You know who directed that movie?
no, who?
Joe Dante, the
What
man
did he-
behind Gremlins and Matinee.
Really? That's sick. That dude totally did Small Soldiers. Fuck, it shows.
I don't know why, but like, whenever I think back on that movie, I think about that part where, what was it? Kirsten Dunst?
Yeah.
She's like talking to the kid in the shop. Oh my god, you like Led Zeppelin?
I remember them blasting Spice Girls.
We're really young people. Oh, dude, yeah, I definitely remember that.
That's the
Because they're
war
like,
cry,
somebody's
like,
all tied up and the garage door opens up. I tell you what I want.
Oh, it was great. March to War with that. Bride of Frankenstein was a big influence. I wanted to see that movie because it was showed on Bride of Chucky. And I was like, I wonder what that movie is Jennifer Tilly's crying about. IFC show Dahmer, and I loved it. Then I saw Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, fuck, they pushed that to a whole different, let's go back to Dahmer.
That movie is truly disturbing. Henry.
Yeah, that dude.
Yeah. Michael Rooker.
Rooker? Yeah, fuck, dude, that dude was in Mallrats.
He's the guy who gets the doo-doo on his head.
That's the dude you hit from
Jason Lee, right?
Yeah, Jason, good old Jason Lee.
Yeah.
Shithand Jason Lee.
Dude, Henry is, Henry is another one of those movies like Audition that was super hyped up for me before I saw it, and they were like, this is the real shit, man.
Yeah, it was
and
like
I
a
like
snuff
watched it and
film,
was like,
like a
oh yeah,
toenail.
this is, man, that movie is truly disturbing in ways that a lot of movies aren't. I really like
But it's true.
Tom Tolles as Otis, selling pot to teenagers and trying to
Yeah.
grope them.
Yeah, it's kind of bad.
That he's like so creepy in that movie, and then like
It sells.
when he
Like,
gets like shanked in the eye and it's like a prosthetic head.
Mm-hmm.
Spoilers.
Let's see. But I'm a Cheerleader. I love
I
that.
think that might be IFC Films.
Another one, yeah. IFC, man, they played really fucking cool things, like, just for people to have access to that wouldn't have, like, before the internet and shit, you know? Like, before the internet got big. I remember I saw House of a Thousand Corpses there. And that
Nice.
really changed me a lot, too. I'm a big... That introduced me to, like, hillbilly horror, you know? And that was, like, a whole different thing, because later that night, I remember seeing, like... 1000 Maniacs, I think that's what it's called.
Or 2001 Maniacs, the Robert Englund one.
Yeah, 2001 Maniacs. I saw that one. I was like, whoa, this is crazy. This is fucking my time. Decline of Western Civilization.
Oh, yeah.
I love those. Those things are really cool.
Have you seen, I've only seen the first one. Have you seen like the other ones, like the metal ones?
I saw the metal one. I forgot. There's 2 metal ones, isn't there?
I think the second one is more like the metal bands, and the third one's like the metal kids, isn't it?
Not
Like,
sure
like
what
Street
the third
Kids,
one's
I
about.
think.
I remember seeing the one with like Kiss and all the bands, so that's probably the second one. I thought that was depressing. I saw that one. I was like, dude, that dude was just drunk. His mom's just watching them. Have you seen it?
I've only seen the first one, but like I would love to see the second
Oh,
one.
you will
I'd imagine
love the
it's
second one. It's so
pro-
wild.
Have you seen Heavy Metal Parking Lot?
No.
Oh, dude, you've got to see that. That would probably be a good double feature with Decline too, because it's like this guy who was filming for public access TV, and he just goes to a Judas Priest concert and talks to all the fucking crazy, wild, drunk teenagers in
That's
the
dope.
parking lot.
Fuck, dude, that's so dope.
It's so funny, so funny. There's this chick who's like, Rob Halpert, I'd jump his bones.
Little does she know.
Oh man,
The last movie that's been influential, Never Been Kissed.
Drew Barrymore.
90s Drew Barrymore, that bob cut. It was like, as a little kid, I'm like, wow, I don't know if I want that haircut or I just want to be next to it, you know? Like, yeah, fuck, I love that movie. And
What is it about that movie that gets you?
probably the fact that they played music in the... Remember when she thought she was high in the brownie? I think they were playing either reggae or ska reggae shit. And I was like, oh, this is like cool music. And then it's just cutesy music of that time that goes along with it. That's been my influence at that time, at that age, yeah.
So those are some of the movies that kind of had a more prominent influence on you when you were younger.
Definitely one I'm not mentioning is May. May was a very good film that influenced me a lot because it introduced me to the idea of the Frankenstein method thing and the fact that it's like the lonely character or the shitty upbringing kind of a thing. Yeah, that movie was just fucking beautiful for me. The fact that like in the end you didn't even know, spoilers, that she's on the ground with the Frankenstein creature Amy and if it's actually coming alive or it's all in her head because she's bleeding out from the wound from her eye and shit. It just touched me in a weird way because that's like finally a character that went through this story arc, 3-part story arc, and got what they deserve, which was some kind of sort of affection that they actually wanted and sought out for. You know, the fact that they had to make them this thing that herself from parts of people that like she liked and stuff like that. I can really relate as an artist, like, and as a kid. It was really fucking cool. And Angela Beatis,
she's amazing in that movie.
Awesome.
I really like Anna Faris in that movie.
Greatest role she ever played. I'm telling you,
she's so
man.
funny in that movie.
Oh my god!
I actually like a lot of her older work. Like, I don't know what's happened in the last several years.
Her older work was just like on cue.
Did you ever see the Smiley Face?
Yeah.
I like that movie. She's funny.
No other actor like can really do like she had to really act hard to be like that.
Yeah.
And I love it because anybody else would make it look doofy as fuck.
Yeah. Yeah, but she's great in May. And like
she's great in May.
The weird relationship she has with like Angela.
Yeah, it's like, here, watch my cat. Like, I'm trying to jump you, but I'm gonna. Oh, the fact that she had like a lover on the side, and that's relatable as a teenager. Like, I like this person a lot. They telling me they like me. Let me go over to their house. Like, oh, they're fucking someone else, and they're telling me like they want to spend time with me later. Like, May's a fucking good movie, dude. Lucky McGee, I think that's his director's name. Mm-hmm. His films are just like kind of The Woman.
Yeah, oh yeah, The Woman is dark.
Fuck. You showed me that movie. I was like, and I've waited years, like a long. I'm not years, but I waited a long time to see that movie. And you showed me the trailer. I was like, fuck, let's see this, dude. And it was just sick, morbid.
Yeah, that's definitely a really dark movie.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure he ended up doing a Masters of Horror episode as well.
Yeah, it was like this creature thing.
With Angela Beatis, I think.
Yeah. A sick girl. Mm-hmm. I love that one's freaky. It used my fear of insect close-ups as a thing. I was like, damn, Lucky McGee, do no wrong.
All right, so those were some of the movies that maybe influenced you growing up or that had an impact on you. Mm-hmm. What is some of the stuff that, as you've gotten older, you've started checking out, or maybe was a thorough line between seeing that stuff before and now? Like, what did you end up connecting to from that stuff?
Well, with May, like, definitely, like, Jeremy Sisto and stuff. Anna Faris got me into, like, Scary Movie. And from there, Scary Movie got me into, like, teen movies at that time. I love me a Seth Green teen movie,
Can't Hardly Wait.
Can't Hardly Wait. Idle Hands. It. Do no wrong, dude.
Oh, yeah, he was in it.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
Right. That's right. He had glasses, right?
Yeah. Werewolf fucker.
Yeah.
I love it. I fucking love Seth Green's 90s career. Oh, dude.
Austin Powers.
Yeah, fucking Austin Powers. Somehow, dads love that movie. A lot of
Did I?
At least from dads in my generation, like, growing up in the 90s, a lot of it's because look at the music. Look at where Austin is a man at a time.
Well, I think maybe part of the reason for that could be James Bond is like a very dad movie kind of thing.
Very. How could
My dad loved James Bond. Everybody, come on, like everybody's dad loves James Bond for some reason. So like,
it's the male ideal of like how to live, like women, cars, weapons,
exotic.
It just literally shows how, like, at the time, how many males wanted something.
Yeah, it's like the ultimate wish fulfillment sort of thing back then. Yeah,
greatest masturbation like film ever.
Those teen movies, definitely a big influence. You talked about, like, Never Been Kissed, and I guess just now Can't Hardly Wait.
Because look, fucking what? Offspring was in Idle Hands.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So
they actually, like, play a song in the movie. Yeah.
And he's wearing, like, an AFI shirt. I was like, who the fuck are AFI at that time? And, like, it's just all beautiful how, like, as I grew older, I see these certain movies that show me new things just by people being themselves and shit like that. Let's see. As I grew older, I truly appreciated Willy Wonka or Gene Wilder a lot more.
Oh, yeah.
He was a really cool dude. There was never another actor for me like him because he was Willy Wonka. Not only that, but I thought as a kid Blazing Saddle was fucking hilarious.
Yeah, me too.
And then what else was he in? He was freaking
Young Frankenstein.
Yeah, Young freaking Frankenstein. How can I not love that? And another thing, Rocky Horror.
Yeah.
Tim Curry.
Tim Curry's a legend.
He is. His birthday just passed, I think.
Yeah, just the other day. Congo, dude.
Yeah.
It's a fucking classic.
Dude, were you big into, like, the animated movies of our time, 90s?
Like,
Ferngully?
Yeah, I mean, I saw it.
Robin Williams kind of killed it. But freaking Tim Curry kind of like, he was the
Oh yeah,
shit
Tim
in
Curry.
it.
Well, Tim Curry's always dope. He makes everything better.
He makes everything so much better. He made Scary Movie 2 better.
I like Scary Movie too.
It's because he's in it. Look at that.
David Cross.
Yeah. Scary Movie 2 is dope. If you really think
Chris
about it.
Elliott.
Chris Elliott.
I use
The
my
Last
strong
Wings.
hand.
Yeah. Black Sunday. I can honestly say, like,
So Mario Bava.
oh, I love it. Black Sunday was actually how I started, because I named it I Dream Witches, because I was playing that song, trying to make that song, but playing the movie on mute, and I was trying to score that, and so that's where that came from. And I just thought, like, the vampire witch coming back to life, like, seeking revenge on, like, her brother's descendants and shit. I was like, oh yeah, that's the most baller metal thing in the world. The Gate was fucking cool.
Stephen Dorff.
Steven Dorff,
Little baby Dorff.
Little baby Dorff. Blade. God, that dude was so fucking cool. So cool.
Oh.
I don't know. Do you know something I don't know?
Oh, man.
I can't, like,
He vapes. I'll tell you that.
it's so hard to say shit like that now. Like, you don't know who's done, like, Kevin Spacey, like,
Oh god. Oh
He's done
no,
some
no,
amazing-
nothing like that. Nothing like that.
The Gate, everything. The fact that they incorporated the heavy metal aspect, how that gave him a clue how to solve everything. There was always the Gate of Hell in Stephen Dorff's backyard, I think.
The effects in the Gate are awesome.
Those little
creatures.
monsters, yeah, they're
Yeah.
crazy good. They're creepy, and dude, The Gate is just so baller.
That movie is like PG-13, and like I never saw it when I was a kid. I just watched that in the last few years, and I really enjoyed like the effects and stuff in it. There's some like really dated like 80s homophobia in there.
Oh, big time.
It's give and take with a lot of that stuff with those movies.
You know what you're getting yourself into when you watch a dated film like that. That's sometimes I see a film I like, shit, I really love Taxi Driver. I fucking love Taxi Driver. The argument I hear sometimes about it is like, it's a racist movie, which is not a racist movie. It's a movie about a fucking racist.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, that's definitely true. Yeah.
So like, people have questioned me about like, you're not white, so how can you like, when they use the N-word, when Scorsese says the N-word and stuff.
Yeah.
I'm like, because I'm not taking it that way. I don't know them personally, but I know damn for sure what I'm getting myself into when I watch the certain films.
Mm-hmm. And it's people playing a character. Obviously, Scorsese probably never shot any of his like wives.
No.
I hope.
No, not like, what's his face?
Robert Blake.
No, I wasn't even going to go there. I was going to say, no, Nymphomaniac director Lars.
Oh, what did Lars do?
Lars made Nymphomaniac. Have you never seen Nymphomaniac?
No, I've seen that.
It's very
I thought you were saying that he shot somebody or something.
No. I was saying he shot like live people fucking.
Well, you gotta.
At some point in your career,
It's
yeah.
the best.
It's art, right? So, The Loved Ones.
You're talking about like the 2009 movie?
Yeah,
the horror movie?
With the
Australian,
prom.
I think, right?
Oh my god, it is Australian.
Yeah.
Fuck, so different from a lot of different things. It reminds me of like, have you seen the first segment of the Holidays movie?
No.
So basically the first one is if you've seen The Loved Ones, that first segment, which I think is Valentine's, kind of has the same MO, so I wonder if it's the same person.
Yeah, that guy just made another film recently, The Devil's Candy.
I heard of that title, yeah. I didn't know he did it. That's sick. So many good people still making good films, I hope.
It was kind of an interesting story for sure. I always like those kind of captive films.
His growl was amazing.
Yeah.
It's like the most death metal. That was so sick. And I was like, this dude's in pain. Record this, put some music in the background. So good. You told me this is a genre, but like true romance.
Well, like Lovers on the Run.
It's just lovers on the run.
Tons of movies like that. I mean, obviously, like Badlands, Terrence Malick, or Natural Born Killers.
Perry LeFou.
Yeah, Pierrot Le Fou, California, Brad Pitt.
Fuck, yeah.
Perdita Durango, The Honeymoon Killers. True Romance, you were a fan of that one. Mm-hmm. What, anything about that one in particular?
I love that he had a spiritual guide and it was Elvis. So he had a musical influence that helped him.
Val Kilmer.
Yeah, Val fucking
Just
Kilmer.
like, literally like 2 years after him being Jim Morrison.
Weird, right?
I love that part. It's like, nobody gives a fuck about a pimp. True Romance is actually one I saw when I was younger. That movie definitely. I think that's one of those films that was a sort of cult film for a while, and now it's just sort of accepted as a kind of like modern crime classic.
Yeah, the
I
little
think.
Bonnie and Clyde thing, though.
I don't know. True Romance just seems to be one of those movies that, because, you know, Tarantino wrote it, and Tony Scott directed it.
True.
It's probably, like, Tony Scott's best movie, and he has a few good ones, but...
The thing that got me was the fact that Christian Slater loved the shit out of comics. And
even though he was wrong about that Spider-Man shit.
Oh, he was definitely wrong. I don't know. True Romance taught me that, like, someone out there, maybe even myself, will appreciate what I know and what I gave a shit about. I'm into this and this and this. Maybe it goes unappreciated throughout most of my life, but I don't know, once in a while there comes someone, or I just come to a point where I accept that I love this and it brings me happiness.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely see that he shares his interests with Alabama.
Yeah.
In that movie, and she seems like, you know, she doesn't strike you as somebody who watches a lot of movies, but he's showing her, like, John Woo.
Mm-hmm.
Or, you know, she's watching John Woo back at the house and doing sound effects.
There's good ways of doing that and bad ways of doing that. Good way is the True Romance. The bad way is the Crow 4 or the Crow 3.
What happens in the Crow 3?
The Crow 3, they're like pre-death. The couple are doing like fake kung fu moves, doing the imitation thing. Yeah, dude, that's like how you do it, how you doing it.
True Romance is great. Great cast. What else you got there?
As I got older, I saw this movie probably in my early 20s, heading into my mid-20s, Clockwork Orange.
Mm-hmm.
And I loved it right off the bat. I wasn't watching it because of the, back to that thing we were talking about, of the Bravo's list.
Uh-huh.
And it mentioned that rape scene being like very fucking shocking and shit, so I avoided seeing it for a long fucking time. And but someone told me, because I read the book, I'm like, oh, this is actually pretty damn interesting. Someone told me like the music really does play a good aspect. You know, love the original music in it. I was like, what do you mean the original music? Like they kind of either you have the record, so the whole score.
A lot of classical music and sort of like electronic rearrangement.
And I was getting into Aphex Twin at that time. And so someone told me I would just get a gag out of watching A Clockwork Orange, so I did. The nail in the coffin that made me want to watch it was because there's a picture of Bowie wearing the Alex thing. Right
like the Droog suit?
Yeah.
Or whatever.
And I'm like, hell, Bowie likes this shit. I'm going to fucking watch this.
Well, and you know, you, like, I mean, you're like most of people in my generation, you grew up watching, like, The Simpsons and stuff like that, so you'd probably seen it referenced and talked about a million times.
Oh, I know, yeah. Simpsons played a very big part in, like, a lot of American 90s humor, even referenced today. People, it's a staple, a proud American-made product.
That's right. From Evergreen, Matt Groening.
Who would have thought?
So you didn't see Clockwork Orange until you were in your mid to late, like, 20s?
Yeah, because I remember they played it in the AMC channel. So, yeah, I watched it in my early 20s, and it played really good. As I grew older, I kind of removed myself less and less from it because it is a big rapey movie, but it's also an adolescent telling of a story. And also the story of, like, how can one person is morally good or bad and can be forced that. And so, you know, The Master, that was one that was like, that's kind of like Clockwork Orange-esque.
Oh, yeah, no, I could see that similarity.
Yeah.
It's like you try and maybe in the process of trying to moralize somebody or make them a better person, you just dehumanize or isolate them even more or take away what it is that makes them human. And maybe that can have, I mean, I think in The Master, maybe it probably has a better effect. Like, they obviously fucked him up, but at the end, he has, like, the free will to go out on his own, and he's somewhat bearable. Clockwork Orange, I think at the end of that one, the whole idea is that, you know, it's like a commentary both on, you know, the wicked and also the attempt to correct the wicked. Like, it's about how bad the state is, and also how bad just the individual can be. And, you know, you can never teach someone morality, but
you gotta live deliciously.
That's you do have to live deliciously, as our old friend Black Phillip would say. Clockwork Orange is one I saw when I was, like, really young. I remember my parents being like, you can't see that one. And I just, like, rented it anyway, like, without their knowledge, and watched it. And strangely enough, a few years later, my dad was like, you have that movie? I want to watch it. Let me borrow it.
I wonder what he thought of it.
I don't know. It's a good question.
Yeah.
Let's call him.
Hey,
Dad?
Are you there? It's me.
Margaret.
There's also Space Jam, the most influential movie.
Oh, dude, talk about Space Jam.
Dude, Space Jam is a fucking Bob Diggity. Its emphasis is on the 90s culture. By the mile run. It's the movie that no one thought could happen. The movie no one ever thought about, but it exists. It's out there. Slam.
Welcome to the jam.
Welcome to the jam. No, but dude, think about it. What did Space Jam do? The soundtrack, right? What does this fucking... Not the monsters, wink wink Kelly. The Space Jam soundtrack has a... I wish I can whip it up, but like it has Coolio, LL Cool J, Be Real.
Be Real?
Yeah, Be Real. Method Man. Like,
Method Man is on the Space Jam soundtrack?
On one track. They're all on one track.
Okay.
And it's the sickest fucking song in the world, dude. Here we go, no. Hit 'em high, hit 'em high, hit 'em high, hit 'em low, hit 'em low. Fucking sick, my brother. I'm telling you.
Method Man probably put more work into that movie than Bill Murray did.
Yeah. A good paycheck of worth of acting in there, man. He acted exactly like his character was the character the whole time in the whole movie wanted to be somewhere and wasn't being appreciated.
Okay, so those are some of the movies.
But no one should sexualize his bunnies, man.
No?
That's not cool.
A lot of those movies, we do have connections, a lot of similarities there. A lot of those movies I definitely saw growing up or as I got older.
Yeah.
And it does take a while. Sometimes you'll see movies later in life that you've always heard about. They'll surprise you. Strangely enough, we talked about May. May was actually a movie that I watched on your recommendation. Mm-hmm. Because I had always heard about it and had heard it was good, but wasn't really sure. I didn't really know much about it and wasn't sure if it was my kind of thing. I remember you got the DVD and I watched it that way. And I really liked it. I thought it was good. I like that movie. It's sad that the one thing, you remember when the dude, asked her if she wants to go to the movies to go see, Trauma?
Yeah. Jeremy Sisto.
Man. Go see a shitty Argento movie on a
Yeah,
date.
pretty bad.
That's a
but
makeout movie.
He would watch that because he's he's a film
He's
freak.
a horror guy.
Yeah,
that's right.
he loves it. What was it? His room had that picture of the eyeball.
Oh, I think that's Opera.
Opera. Okay.
Yeah.
He had a picture of Opera.
Or is it somebody with clamp type things on their
It
eyelids?
looked like 3 spikes with something right here, but right there.
Oh yeah, that's Opera. Yeah.
So he had that on his wall, and it fits.
So May was one I finally watched, and you were a fan of that, so I checked it out, and yeah, I enjoyed it. And then we ended up watching a lot of movies. When I first moved up here, we started hanging out because we worked at the same place. Mm-hmm. And I remember kind of a handful of the first few movies we watched because I used to come hang out at your place. Mm-hmm. And then we were watching movies like Chameleon Street, Anguish, Zelda Rubinstein.
Oh my gosh,
it makes you strong.
Swirls.
Dude, man, that is such a crazy movie. That's a great one.
What's that dude's name?
The guy, Michael Lerner.
Michael Lerner.
Yeah.
He was in Godzilla, dude. 90s Godzilla.
He's in some Coen Brothers movies like
No
Barton Fink. And,
oh my God.
Yeah, that's a great one. Anguish is great. And then I remember one of the first movies we watched, we watched Barfly, the Barbara Schroeder, the Bukowski movie.
Someone hyped me about it because someone told me how much they hated it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, some told me that they really hated Bukowski. I was like, fuck, I gotta see this.
Yeah.
What makes this person hate this movie so bad? And then, it's a great movie.
Yeah, what did you think about him? I thought he was good in the role. I mean, it doesn't have to be Bukowski, but it's pretty close to him.
I took it as... Yeah, exactly. I took it as, someone's interpretation of someone's work or art also. People like that does exist. Mm-hmm. And that's what the movie is telling me. I may not be the biggest Bukowski fan. That movie was pretty good. You showed me a lot of good fucking things that influence Sante Sangre. You let me borrow that, and it fucking blew my mind.
Yeah, that's a great one. Me and Justin just talked about the Holy Mountain on the last episode.
Yeah.
Sante Sangre is a great one, for sure.
Weird.
It's an apt descriptor for most of his movies.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I remember, we definitely watched Barfly early on, and we watched a lot of these movies, you, me, and Ivan.
Yeah, we did.
I know one of the first ones we watched was the Todd Phillips documentary about Gigi Allen, Hated. Do you remember that?
God, yes, I did. It was a good day.
Lots of Gigi dick in that movie.
Oh my god, so much feces, blood, dick. And what did that guy do? That director did some really good movie.
Made Old School.
Yeah, he's
and
making
The Hangover.
He's making the Walking Phoenix Joker movie.
Oh, it's what? He's the director of that? Todd Phillips is the director of that? That's crazy. Hated was one of the first movies we watched. I know we watched like Yellow Submarine and some other stuff like that.
Oh yeah, I never saw it until I met you. I don't know why I waited so long, but I'm glad I did. That was another movie with a fucking great soundtrack. The visuals were fucking cool. The story somehow fucking was cohesive. Like,
yeah, it's funny. It's a really funny movie.
Funny from start to end. It was a good one.
Yeah, I remember when we watched it, it was because I had never seen it, and I got the DVD.
Oh, Jesus.
I got the DVD and watched it and was like, oh, this is dope. And you were like, yeah, I'd never seen that one. So I was like, shit, I'll watch it again. Let's check this out.
I wanted to see because I know you really loved Hey Bulldog.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, oh, this is so sick. That segment was so fucking cool.
Yeah, that's a great part in there. But, like, so those were a lot of the movies that we were watching when we first started hanging out. And then we started seeing movies in the theater. We saw, I know we went and saw Hail Caesar and
Get Out,
The Witch.
We did, yeah.
Yeah, and I think The Witch was definitely a big influence there.
I definitely would say because I'm pretty sure we're the few people that laughed in that when that movie was going on. It was a pretty cool movie. I love The Witch. We saw it. It was an experience. It was how I felt when we went to go see Haxon and during All Freaking Night Live. Like, it gave the same fucking vibe. It was eerie. We were in a room full of people watching some weird fucking shit on the screen. It was just dark themed. It was like The Witch had the best scene when that kid was like coming up with the apple in his throat.
Yeah.
He was just reciting fucking all that shit. I'm like, that kid, give him that fucking award. I got chills in that
kid
theater,
was great.
man.
He was great.
Oh my God.
He was great, man. He lived deliciously. No, he didn't. That's why.
No, he suffered horribly. We don't know what he did, but he didn't end peacefully.
No. But The Witch was definitely, I remember we were both really impressed with that.
That's when we had the Chinook.
Oh, yeah, the Chinook. Yeah, which makes an appearance in a couple songs there.
Yeah, that's a guess, isn't it? It's a good old friend.
That's right. R.I.P. to the Chinook.
Yeah, damn.
But, so, we were hanging out and watching some of these movies at your house, and then we were, like, seeing movies in the theater and just, like, kind of newer stuff in the old, and lots of stuff that, like, kind of had in common or just sort of thought, there like literally probably dozens of movies. I was looking back trying to find like some references for this episode and was just like, man, I've watched so many movies with people that sometimes you run together what you've seen with who, but like I realized we had just seen so many movies that narrowing it down was like really crazy. But
yeah, we seen like, a shit ton of stuff.
I know probably a pivotal one. I think I was the one, unfortunately, who exposed you to The Room. Oh, is that right? Tommy Wiseau.
Because you were just quoting it, and I'm like, what are you doing? Like, oh my God.
Which is what you should say to anyone quoting that.
I was like, it's the greatest thing known to mankind. It's like how you, like, the world's going to go to hell when we're just going to quote that to each other and make peace. I'm telling you, that's how we're going to know. Yeah, The Room was cool when you showed me it because it was how it should be watched in a room full of friends as an experience because one has seen it already and wants to show it to the other person.
Yeah, as a first time watch with people who've probably mostly not seen it, would be like, what the fuck?
Yeah, other people, because you tested me. You showed me other stuff to prep me for The Room.
Yeah.
I want to say, you were, our whole lives was waiting for us to meet, for you to show me The Room. And then I'm like, this is the part. His buttocks fucking the navel.
Oh, lordy.
That's what it took.
Tommy Wiseau.
It was amazing.
Some of the scariest buttocks in movie history.
I can honestly say that dude did it the punk rock way. He did it. He wanted it. He DIY'd it all himself, did he not?
And then he somehow managed to capitalize on it.
But to his surprise.
Yeah.
To everyone's
surprise.
He did it. The Room movie, the documentary.
Disaster Artist. Yeah, I wasn't crazy about it.
I didn't like the beginning. I liked the middle. I laughed my ass off, and it was at that park scene. It's like, tell us where the fuck you're from.
Oh yeah.
I was laughing so hard because you see, when I was watching Disaster Artist, I was thinking about the when you showed me The Room.
Yeah.
And what part we were laughing really hard about and shit. That's why I like Disaster Artist because it makes me think of The Room because basically it's The Room, the making of The Room.
I liked like Allison Janney as his like mom and he'd be like Babyface.
Yeah, Babyface. Oh god,
Yeah, so, and the room is a movie that somebody showed me and was just like, you have to see this. And they explained it to me, so.
The Room is literally like the Ring tape.
Yeah, you just have to spread it.
Somehow, someone has seen it and they share it for some reason, and then it just spreads.
So, but, I mean, we were watching all kinds of movies, because, like, The Room, obviously, is, like, one of the notorious comedic, like, sort of bad midnight movie experiences. It's like a lot of people have called it like the sort of modern Rocky Horror and stuff, because
you know what, yeah,
you go to the screenings.
That, yeah. It's worth an experience. It's gonna be the new thing, yelling out during the movie.
Have you seen it in the theater?
Never.
Oh man, like the theatrical one, they do it exactly like Rocky Horror or other movies where you have the interactive experience, and every time you see like one of the, how like for the set design of the movie they couldn't afford pictures of people, but you see pictures on the furniture. If you pause it, it's like pictures of spoons inside the picture frames. So if you see one in the movie in the theater, you get plastic spoons and you go spoon, and you like throw them up in the air.
That's so cool. Oh
yeah,
my God,
no,
dude,
you should definitely, cool if you've never seen The Room, watch it in the theater, preferably for the first time with friends or maybe someone who's seen it, because that's a great way to see it. And I got to meet Tommy Wiseau. He's
such a character, isn't he?
I will share my Tommy Wiseau story here. We went and saw that, and we took a picture with him. I don't know where the picture is. If I find it, I'll post it immediately. But like, we took a picture with him, and somebody, I think it was Shane or one of our friends, they had like a cup from the theater with some soda, and it had the Coke logo on it. And Tommy Wiseau was like, "We will not be advertising for the Coca-Cola."
Oh my God.
For the picture, he was like, "Put the Coke away." But my friend went up there and asked him for the Q&A. He was like, "I feel like this movie is really deep, and a lot of the people represent different factions of Tommy's personality." He was like, "That's nonsense. I don't have time to answer this question."
Man has zero patience for
He had on
intolerance.
like 10 belts. He had on like six or seven belts and sunglasses.
For what? Like, is nothing's holding, like...
He's a vampire.
Oh, he sleep. Yeah. When have we ever seen him in daylight? Repo Man, you showed me for the first time early in our friendship, and I thought it was really fucking cool. I wasn't expecting that ending.
We have, I know we watched different stuff, like not only just the, like lowbrow comedy stuff that's funny with other people, but also like older films like, The Honeymoon Killers and 69. I think you said you never saw the first original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and
No,
I think we watched that one.
No, you also showed me part 2, and it blew my fucking mind. It was my favorite.
Eating Raoul.
Oh, that was hilarious.
Mystics in Bali.
You literally taught me what the fuck a Thai stick was. I'm like, what the fuck is a Thai stick? Because in Eating Raoul, the character pulls out one.
Like I said, a lot of older films, newer films. I know we went and saw like Get Out, Nocturnal Animals, stuff like that.
I love that movie.
I want to know what she saw. I want to know what it felt like.
I'm dying.
That movie, Michael Shannon is the GOAT.
He is the shit.
The guy rocks.
He is.
Kneel before Zod.
Kneel before. I will fight him.
But yeah, so a lot of those stuff, and I know we watched like a lot of horror stuff. Like I showed you the original 2000 Maniacs.
Yeah.
You had already seen the Robert Englund 2001.
Yeah, I
Maniacs.
showed you.
So yeah, you showed. I showed you the original, and you showed me the Robert Englund one.
Remake.
And I think it's fair to say we both enjoyed both movies.
Yeah, the whole time. Because when you showed me the original one, I was like, oh, the song, like, yeah, the sound.
Yeah.
Once again, I was like, this song is dope. This song is so rednecky as fuck. And then I'm like, when we were watching the remake, I don't remember that song at all. I'm like, I don't think they're gonna play it. And then like, boo, it just comes out like metal as fuck. I'm like, blew my fucking mind.
Oh man. So yeah, like that kind of stuff, and then like the horror films, like we watched The Burning, and one of my favorites, Truth or Dare, A Critical Madness.
Yeah, Critical Madness.
So, but that's the kind of stuff that we were watching, like hanging out. And a lot of those kind of films ended up, like the stuff that you were showing me and that I was showing you, and just the kind of stuff we had in common, a lot of that worked its way into music.
Oh, definitely. I definitely can say you helped me structure, because you also introduced me to stuff like Quasimodo. Madlib, there we go. Because of that, Madlib, you introduced me to J Dilla, and that really changed my life a lot. I can say, musically and in that point in my life, because I was going through a great loss at that point in my life, right when I met you. And then I was just experimenting with tunes, or the thought about getting over my sadness by playing music. And then you told me that you went on stage once and like help your friends sing a song or something. I'm like, oh shit. So in my mind, like, you have a ton of a fucking experience. Let's do this shit. And like, I want to like have a music partner now. And so I appreciate that. Thank you. I never told you that, but like making music with you, or starting the music thing with you, really got me off of funk, because it got me in a creative flow. And I'm glad that you always had like, we're just down to listen to the next thing, because I was like popping songs like that back in the day. And that was because of how shitty I felt. And I'm glad that you were there to like want to even like, you should put this, you should do that. Watching movies with me for me to get certain parts out of it and shit. It was just a blessing.
Yeah, no, that's awesome, man. No, it's I mean, we had a lot in common, so it was always cool. I mean, you had the musical ability, and I've always been I've never played music with any instruments or anything. I always wrote, so it was cool to be able to hook up with somebody who you can make music with. Yeah, no, a lot of that stuff just kind of finds its way into it, and I've certainly been through a lot of periods. Like, I mean, I was writing a lot of stuff because I was kind of needed to write to kind of have something to focus on, or kind of structure, and was like kind of maybe stressed out or dealing with whatever, and like writing definitely helps with that. So yeah, starting on the music was a cool point, and we had a lot of those movies and stuff for references. Obviously, with a lot of the music I think you and me have worked on, we had all kinds of stuff in there, like there's like TV shows, and a lot of the stuff was culled from stuff that we watched, or little things that stuck in the mind and just thought was funny. Like, you would send me a lot of instrumentals that just already had samples in them and random stuff, and I was like, oh, what's this thing from, or what's that? And some of it I would recognize, and so I had ideas for stuff I thought would work well with music. And
you got a great input. The majority of what I knew was like gangster rap, and then heavy metal, and then like college crust punk stuff. Meeting you got me into like actual like sly hip hop stuff, lo-fi things, and then actual old recordings like The Fall.
So there were a lot of things in the music that we made. You would normally the process was you would produce, like, make a song, and you would give it to me, and I would just write verses and stuff like that for it. And a lot of the time there was space in there between verses or before and after them where we could put samples, so that was a good place to kind of throw in things that maybe fit the tone of the song or were just stuff that I always thought was funny or just liked in movies, and we would throw things in. When we started working together, it wasn't even like the idea of doing like work or making music. I remember I think you just said you had some instrumental you made or something, and we're like, give this a listen. I was like, yeah, sure, I'd like to write something for that. So where it went from there, was pretty interesting.
It was like, what, a Dexter?
Yeah, it was, I think the very first one. Was that Omelette du Fromage?
First one was Omelette du Fromage.
From the Saturday Morning Mixtape.
Oh, that was a beautiful time.
The first EP. And that's, that was, of course, like I said, we would do TV shows and all kinds of stuff samples. We talked about The Simpsons earlier, and there's lots of Simpsons stuff throughout the music. Krusty, Homer, all kinds of good stuff in there. But so we did that EP together, and of course the first song was Omelette du Fromage. And I think there was one thing in that song I really like, the Batman sample, because there's a line that I wrote for the song about, if you want to make an omelet, you gotta crack some eggs, which isn't like an expression. And there was actually, they used that quote, Jack Nicholson said it in Batman, and like I think I forget what happened. Like, could we not find the actual thing?
Yeah, we couldn't find it at all anywhere.
And we found the same in Spanish.
Yeah, we found it in Spanish somehow, and we're like, no, fuck it, use it. It's funny. I was like, all right. And then just somehow it just went well with the song.
It sounded like we're really, like, even more dramatic in Spanish.
Yeah, it was like he said the same thing for a beat.
and the laugh at the end is magnificent.
Yeah, it's actually pretty fucking terrifying.
So that's like the very first instance, I think, probably of like the sampling along with the Dexter's Lab stuff.
Oh,
that kind
cool.
of like,
yeah. Because I never even thought of putting vocals or words into my music. I was like, oh, snap. It totally makes sense.
Yeah.
And then, it's a great ideas, great lyrics. You had a great flow. You knew how to flow with my songs, which was like astonishing to begin with. I don't know. It was just a good dynamic, a good contrast, a good, like, you've done this, but let me show you this.
for that first EP that we did together, there was a lot of stuff that ended up in there, and a lot of stuff in there I think was personal, probably to both of us, and a lot of like funny stuff. Like talked about Chameleon Street was one of the first movies we watched, and I'm a big fan of that movie. I actually wrote about it on the Video Psychosis Facebook page for movies that should be on Blu-ray. It's the first issue.
Is it not?
No, no,
it's not. Yeah, you're right.
Out of print DVD.
Damn.
The VHS is cheaper than the DVD, but the DVD is worth getting if you can get it on the cheap because it's got a really good short film that he also made with one of the actresses from it. Chameleon Street ended up being sampled in the intro to the EP.
Yes.
Toward the end, there's like a scene where he's talking to his wife. She tells him to kiss her ass, and we ended up using like a channel flip special like audio effect like to kind of censor her saying ass.
Kiss my ass.
All I said was, may I have my breakfast now, honey?
Kiss my ass.
It was a good concept, that first EP, like person waking up and just starting his day, and then just throughout the day, like fuck 12. That was a good one.
I mean, and, you know, and a lot of the songs in there, like we talked about riding around and going to all these places, and then like, you know, you're being hassled by the cops. You go home, maybe you go to sleep, it was all a dream, who knows? But like all this stuff, like a lot of different stuff into there. I think one thing that's interesting in the intro, we sample James Whale, Frankenstein. You're a big fan of Frankenstein, and that ended up making its way into there in like the very first song of any of the releases. One thing that I really like, I actually hadn't listened to the EP in a minute. I forgot how I always loved the trailer for that movie, Cheerleaders Wild Weekend.
It's the Cheerleaders Wild Weekend. You can take them away for a weekend.
Oh, I forgot about that.
So I was like, dude, we just have to take this whole segment of this trailer. Because I saw that trailer, I think it was on like a 42nd Street Forever DVD I had or something like
some
that.
bonus feature.
Yeah, and like that trailer is so great. Like the music is like... There's sound effects and these weird little noises and, you know, this hilarious tagline and stuff. I was like, we just have to snip from this whole trailer.
Everything was so brilliant.
And so we ended up like just throwing that in the song, and it was like the idea of waking up in the morning, you take a piss, you're smoking weed while you're pissing, and like you go and sit down, watch TV, and eat some cereal. And so there was all that stuff, and then
we did a really cool one.
Extending on that, like, you know, movie references, you know, they abound throughout there, but I think I've always been a big fan of that Robert Altman movie, McCabe and Mrs. Miller, and one of the songs on there is named after it, Warren Beatty's character, Pudgy McCabe.
Oh, yes.
And the chorus of the song actually samples dialogue from the movie, you know, because he's always throughout the movie, when he's in moments of anger, he's saying, like, money and pain, pain, pain.
Wasn't there a music video they used maybe for Space Jam on there?
Yeah, oh man, if you go on YouTube and look up the Pudgy McCabe video on this account, if you're subscribed to Video Psychosis on YouTube, go back through our history, you'll find the Pudgy McCabe video, which has some Space Jam visuals on it.
MJ in there. It's fucking sick.
The Monstars. But like, yeah, so that kind of stuff, like, you know, it was, and it's not always like the idea. A lot of the time it fits the tone of the song, the sample, or sometimes it's just stuff we like. But then for the outro, because the outro is just as bizarre as the intro to that EP. Like the intro has no like verses or anything. It's just a sort of like a concept sort of song. Then the outro is like a verse or two. I showed you Married to the Mob, that Jonathan Demme movie.
Oh, Michelle Pfeiffer, yes.
Michelle Pfeiffer, yeah. Only, you remember you couldn't paint that woman.
I couldn't bear myself to.
Something about the beauty of Michelle Pfeiffer.
Wasn't worthy to paint her with that, Kentucky Fried Chicken jacket?
Yeah, she for those of you who have seen, she goes to apply at this job at like a chicken place, and Tracy Walter from Repo Man, which we discussed earlier, he's like peeping on her through the window. And she has like a Sgt. Pepper's type unifit on.
That was like the official uniform of that.
Of the chicken place.
Of the chicken franchise place, yeah.
And
weird.
So we watched that movie and was a big fan of that one. And there's like a song where the bad guy, Dean Stockwell, and his like associate are driving to this like burger place called Burger World. And we sampled the jingle that they sing. The fries are crispy, the shakes are creamy, the double continental with cheese is dreamy. That's right. So, you know, a lot of that stuff ends up on the first EP, and then working forward from there, I think once we finished up that, we had a pretty good idea or like a better idea of how to kind of work these things along and try new things. So, start working on the first album, Friday Night Double Feature. So there's tons of stuff on there, and like, you know, we talked about The Witch. And like, you know, there's like I Dream of Witches is on there, which was also the name of your band with Riley and
Dream of Maddie's in the band. That was it was a good project.
You know, The Witch had an influence there, and that was, you know, one we saw in the theater, obviously. And, you know, I mean, it's not even necessarily that movie, but, you know, Black Phillip does get talked up on that song in the chorus. And so, you know, some of that stuff played out, and we were furthering the influences. And there's a lot of stuff that, you know, there's movies that ended up getting referenced, I think, in several songs.
Lyrics-wise?
Yeah, like Putney Swope, which, you know, we named a song after it, Truth and Soul Incorporated, which is the name of the business after Putney takes over. You know, and there's a reference to that movie even in a song on my newest EP, Rosanna. Putney Swope was definitely an influence. What was your opinion on that movie?
It was the most hilarious thing I saw at that moment in my life. The fact that you told me that the director voiced over the main character's voice, that was brilliant. The fact that it was all segments. What was the commercial? The couple.
I think it's like the acne cream or something.
Yeah, the acne cream.
Yeah.
that was fucking hilarious.
Yeah. Putney Swope is a good one. They actually played that at the Capitol a couple years ago.
They did, huh?
But it was the day after All Freaking Night.
Oh, we were beat.
Yeah, there's no way.
No way after like an all-night horror fest.
5 hours later, come back.
Yeah, just to the same place? No, thank you.
But Putney Swope, definitely a big influence. I first saw that movie on VHS a long time ago. Really liked that one. And other stuff like Chopper, Andrew Dominic, 2000 with Eric Bana. That's a movie that, humorously enough, we talked about IFC. Both IFC films and the IFC channel. I first saw Chopper on the IFC channel because I remember kind of like seeing it like in the video store back in the day and always wondered what it was. Heard it was good, so I finally watched it there. I still love that movie. I've seen it a few times. We ended up sampling that for a song on Friday Night Double Feature with my buddy Fonz, To Die a Little.
I think someone's pulling your leg, mate.
Someone's pulling your leg, Neville. Someone will pull your other fucking leg in a minute. Now, how much you want to give me?
Fistful of dynamite.
And ended up referencing it again later in Warm Sake with Ari and Pork.
That was a dope track.
Some other stuff that pops up. You talked about Willy Wonka earlier. Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. OG Wilder.
Yeah, we sampled them a few times. 2 times.
Oh yeah, Wilder always welcome to make an appearance.
Always.
We went and saw that movie in the theater.
Willy Wonka. Yeah, did we go through like the early morning showing?
Yeah, I think it was like earlier toward the afternoon. Yeah. That was awesome. That movie was great in the theater.
We were up in the balcony, and it was like we had enough space that we weren't being like around enough people. I remember we were around like some kids.
Tons of kids.
Yeah. So you kids are in for a fucking treat.
Really just like blasted and fucking eat a bunch of candy.
Yeah, that was fun, dude.
You have to bring candy to see Willy Wonka. That's like that's like the one movie you should be eating candy at.
You should.
And so we're both a big fan of that movie, and seeing it in the theater was awesome, and that ends up being sampled like in a couple of the songs like Smoke Contraption on Friday Night, and then also end up referencing the title character himself in like Crystal Pepsi off the newest EP.
Nice.
And you know, like I said, there's a lot of things that end up being referenced a few times in different songs, you know, like Inherent Vice, which I'm a fan of the book and the movie.
Yeah.
That's ended up being talked about in like Lounge Fact or Pudgy McCabe or Rosanna. And so that kind of stuff makes its way in there. Yeah, and like the Big Lebowski, I know definitely ended up in Danny Ocean's.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because that's the one with the Danny Ocean's with the Christian Bale sample from Harsh Times.
I totally forgot about that.
All kinds of crazy. That was like that's like one of the druggiest songs probably.
Yeah.
Of the discography.
The top peak, yeah.
You got Danzig in there wailing, and then you've got like Matthew McConaughey. Time to paint the table. Yeah, man.
Yeah, I forgot that we even put that thing in there. Wow.
So there's like, probably like dozens and dozens of movie references and samples in the songs
Just
and
cut
stuff.
into songs.
And like I said, on Friday Night, which was the first album, we extended with that from the first EP, so we were kind of expanding on those ideas and kind of finding new ways to put samples in and make them part of the song so it maybe rhymed with stuff or fit in with it or whatever.
Yeah, or for the motive of the song subject or something.
For sure. And with the newest EP that's not out yet, it's going to be released soon this year. Music by Cam.
Music by Cam.
It's 9 songs. A few of them are already online if you want to check out the SoundCloud, Bandcamp for Strong Knotz. There's some good stuff in there. Sweet Leaf Segundo here. My buddy Taiku, Domino Dubois. Lots of great stuff. That's going to be coming soon. And we're going to talk a little bit about some of the stuff that's inspired that. You said exactly what I was thinking. And it's so funny because on the last episode, me and Justin talked about Pieces.
Oh, really?
And, yeah, Pieces is a movie that I saw when I was younger and just thought it was totally ridiculous. And I think I showed that one to you. And
Yes.
I had kind of thought it would be interesting, but I remember you specifically said you were like, oh, man, that waterbed quote, you got to use that.
Nothing's better than smoking pot and fucking in the waterbed. Yeah.
And so I got my buddy Taiku. He ended up making that sort of like the hook of the song. So it's like a little more in a sample. It's like a sort of recurring hook for the song because that's the mantra. And
I love that.
Pieces is good. What was your opinion on Pieces?
Pieces?
Was it exactly what you thought it would be? Like the trailer promises?
Yes. I went in with no expectation except for a little bit of what you showed me. And it got me screaming, it got me laughing, it got me pointing outward. It was a cool movie. I love Pieces.
Yeah, Pieces is a good one. So that's definitely a quote from that is pretty relevant on a song from the new EP, Crystal Pepsi there. But then also, even more directly, I have a song named after a movie that I watched in the last few years and has become like a personal favorite. I ended up calling one of my songs Get Crazy.
Get Crazy.
Because we sampled that movie for the intro, and that's just a movie that I think doesn't get enough attention. It's really funny.
1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Leaving.
Yeah.
Fucking, have you seen Clue?
Yeah.
The Clue movie?
Yeah, the Tim Curry.
Yeah, he's in there for like 2 seconds.
Get out! What does he do?
You don't remember? He's the guy who sets it all up. He's the guy who's like, I invited you all here, and then
That's him?
Yeah, that's Leaving.
Fuck, dude.
He's
I gotta
also
rewatch
in.
Clue. That's so cool.
He's in that movie Dudes with John Cryer, Dan Roebuck, and yeah. So Get Crazy is just. I love that movie. I think it's like probably the best New Year's Eve themed movie.
Isn't there already another New Year's Eve killing movie?
You talk about New Year's Evil?
Yeah, New Year's Evil. There.
That movie is ridiculous. It has the killer kind of looks like Bruce Jenner. A little bit. We watched that on New Year's, but Get Crazy is one that I like to show to people, and I would like to screen that movie actually sometime close to New Year's in the future. I think that would be an interesting one. I mean, it's got a great cast. You got like Malcolm McDowell, just all kinds of people in there.
Oh, you got the greatest drug dealer of all time.
Who's that? Electric Larry?
Electric Larry.
Electric Larry is actually pretty important to the new EP, and you know, Get Crazy. I love that movie. There's so many funny things about it. Daniel Stern, Paul Bartel, Mary Warrenoff.
The funeral scene.
The funeral scene is so good.
Yeah.
A bunch of blind blues musicians at a funeral, trying to find their way to leave. But like, yeah, no, and then, you know, Lou Reed ends up in there. Just all kinds of great stuff.
Freaking Lou Reed. Doesn't he make us? Isn't that the part of he plays in that whole movie? He's trying to make a song.
He's supposed to be this like reclusive musician who hasn't played or done anything, and suddenly he gets a call finding out the theater owner is dying, so he has to come down there and play for New Year's, and he gets a creative burst of inspiration, and he never even ends up making it to the show.
Brilliant. He phones in the whole time.
Yeah, and, you know, yeah, he's great. He's actually really funny. He's really good in, like, Deadpan. And there's, like, a really great moment that's a Bob Dylan reference to the album cover for Bringing It All Back Home. It's really funny. And so that's a great one. And then other stuff, like You and Me. I know I showed you After Hours.
Yes, I love Rosanna.
That's right. Rosanna, a pivotal song on the new EP. Probably one of the first songs recorded, I think, for it.
Yeah,
and,
you're right. Damn. That was a great time. That was a great time watching that movie. Cheech and Chong's in that movie.
That's right.
What was that quote? Like, you don't get art, man.
There's so many people in that movie. That movie is amazing, and I don't know. It's not for everybody. It's just one of those surreal films. Like the guy who wrote it, Joseph Minion, ended up writing Vampire's Kiss with Nicolas Cage.
Whoa.
And this movie Motorama about this little kid who's trying to get like win some prize. So he like steals a car and he's driving around the U.S. trying to get these like things from gas stations.
That's sick.
So like
shit.
yeah,
After
Hours is amazing. And yeah, we definitely sampled that in Rosanna, and we even named it after Rosanna Arquette. And you know, her character in the movie is wonderful. She's really funny there. She has a great laugh.
Yeah, it was amazing. It was breathtaking.
It's really cute, and then it becomes really scary.
Yeah, very fast. And who the fuck refuses a joint from Rosanna? No one, I tell you.
Exactly.
A fucking square.
Scorsese himself shows up. He's in the
Oh
scene
my
where Griffin
God.
Dunn's gonna get buzz cutted in the nightclub. Scorsese's wearing like a general uniform and he's waving around a spotlight.
That's so rad.
It's playing Bad Brains, Pay to Come.
Yeah. Dude, fucking A.
Yeah, that's a classic.
That's a good movie.
After Hours is a good one. And then other stuff that's ended up on the newest EP, like Mike Lee, Naked. That was a movie I saw when I was younger, and I thought was just some of the best dialogue I'd ever heard in a movie. Mm-hmm. And I'd always wanted to sample it, and I really love that bit where Daniel Thewlis talks about, he's constantly complaining about problems with modern society, and I just wanted to sneak something from there in. And Stargoons, we end up using one of his monologues and kind of using it throughout the song.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
I think it's pretty cool that we've been able to expose each other to like different kinds of things and new movies, and I don't know, it's cool that it leaks into the work. I feel like a lot of people maybe take up an issue with how other people maybe reference or homage other works or something, but I think it's cool to have that patchwork of the things that bring people together. And I always hope that if somebody maybe hears one of my songs and they like the sample or something, they'll be like, what is that, and they watch the movie.
Yeah, that's a good way of leaning into it. I always thought of it as like a whole Frankenstein concept of us putting pieces of what we like together and then making something of that.
And I mean, no, it's cool to draw from such a big well. Like, I mean, if you've just seen all these movies, then just to find some random little obscure snippet, like, you know, I find weird, like, movie dialogue that just seeps into my vocabulary. Like, I'll end up just saying stuff in real life that's from movies and be like, oh, God, that's from this thing. I'm like, what is that? And so, you know, that makes its way into the music, and we find all these things, and hopefully that's like a connection. Oh, and so, you know, on the show, we like to point out the movies that have inspired us and stuff that we continue to try to expose people to. We want people to see these movies and check this stuff out. You know, if you like the music, definitely check out the movies.
Yes, please. Here's to looking forward to Midsommar. Hopefully that's a good-ass movie.
Oh, yeah, Midsommar looks awesome. I hope that's good. Did you, they just released a still from The Lighthouse, the new movie from Dave Eggers, the guy who made The Witch. And it's got Willem Dafoe and Robert Pattinson. It's a black and white 35mm gothic horror about like a haunted lighthouse or something. Like, I saw a picture from the production. Willem Dafoe's got like this corncob pipe or something, and he's like got his sailor hat on, and like Robert Pattinson looks like those old gaunt pictures of people from like the Wild West. It looks like it's gonna be interesting.
Oh damn, dude! I have no idea of this. Last time I heard he was working on some kind of Nosferatu remake.
Got to see Us, the new Jordan Peele movie. That looks good.
Dope. Gonna be dope. I can't wait to see it.
Nobody spoiled it for me yet. Look,
good.
But yeah, there's a bunch of good-looking stuff coming out this year. I hope to see more stuff. So, with that being said, this has been the 5th episode of the Video Psychosis podcast. I'm Strong Knotz,
and I am Yoin.
Sweet Leaf Segundo.
Strong Knotz.
Video Psychosis.